So for any person who wants to become a lawyer in Canada and who's not done law from Canada, the first step is to do NCA exams. So there are 5, 6 exams. Basically, those are equivalency exams. Once you clear them, and then you enroll yourself in the lawyer licensing process.
Hello and welcome to the Superlawyers YouTube channel. Today we are with Mr. Jasminder Singh, who is an accomplished legal professional with extensive experience in criminal law and also holds a dual license in India and Ontario, Canada. He practices in broad range of criminal laws such as matters like bail applications, assault cases, theft, and much more, and he represents clients across various courts in Ontario. As the founder of Jaslegals, Mr. Singh has established 5 offices across Greater Toronto area. We welcome you today, sir. My name is Anshi Mudgal and I work as an associate with the Superlawyers platform. We aim at showcasing inspiring stories that could greatly motivate and benefit our readers, which are young lawyers and the legal community at large. I'd like to introduce you to Divya ma'am. Divya Dwivedi ma'am is our team lead at Superlawyers. Ma'am has immense experience in areas like biotechnology, IP, technology law, and allied fields, and also practices at the Supreme Court of India. Divya ma'am, I'd request you to take the dais now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anshi, for organizing this interview. Thank you, Jas Singh, for agreeing to meet with us. Most welcome to our Super Lawyer YouTube channel today.
Thank you for having me, Anshi and Divya. Thank you very much.
So shall we start the session by saying that you are an accomplished lawyer and you are actually practicing in both of the countries, and we'll be more than happy to understand for our learners that how have you built this particular process for yourself, that you studied in India and then moved to Ontario, Canada, and built a law practice over there. We are here to listen to your story and then we'll move forward with other questions and conversation with you. Most welcome to you, and please, dais is yours.
So I studied law from Punjab University, the 5-year law department, UILS. And once I finished, I moved to Delhi to study for competitive exams for some time. So I stayed there in Delhi. Then after that, I started practicing in Patiala District Court in Punjab. I practiced there for more than a year. And my parents live in Chandigarh. I am from Chandigarh, but I used to work in Patiala because I got an opportunity to work under a very good, very senior lawyer there. And I used to do civil litigation there in Patiala because my inclination was towards civil litigation. Then one of my friends told me there's this program, you can go to Canada, you can become a permanent resident directly based on points. So I calculated my points, I was eligible, and I applied for the permanent residency and I became a PR. I moved to Canada in 2019. And after a few months, I was lucky enough to get a job in a criminal law firm in Canada. I started working there as a legal assistant. And then slowly and steadily, I cleared my NCA exam. So for any person who wants to become a lawyer in Canada and who's not done law from Canada, the first step is to do NCA exams. So there are 5, 6 exams. Basically, those are equivalency exams. Once you clear them, and then you enroll yourself in the lawyer licensing process. In the lawyer licensing process, you have to do 3 things. You have to clear barrister exam, the solicitor exam, because in Canada, lawyers are called barristers and solicitors. We can practice as both barristers and solicitors the way we like, and also complete a 10-month internship period with a lawyer, which is called an articling. So I did all of that. Once I cleared my bar exams, I started working in the same firm as an articling student. And once I completed my articling, I was called to the bar in Ontario in February 2022. So the day I got called to the bar, next day I opened my own practice. I started practicing on my own. And I think I got called to the bar on February 26th, and I registered my firm on February 27th. And I used to do immigration law and criminal defense law in the beginning. I did immigration for a couple of months, but my focus, my interest, my inclination was towards criminal defense law because I was lucky enough to get a mentor here in Canada as well. He's a very senior criminal lawyer practicing for more than 40 years in Canada, only criminal law. And I got to learn the ropes of criminal law from him. So my inclination was to practice criminal law in Canada. So I stopped taking immigration files after a couple of months. And after that, I've solely focused my practice on criminal defense law. And primarily, I'm based in the GTA, which is the Greater Toronto area. But I practice all over Ontario. I appear in all courts in Ontario, and I deal with every kind of criminal case that exists in Canada.
Wow, what an amazing confidence story. I would request you to share your story about being that confident that I'll be only doing criminal law just after a couple of months of practice. It's absolutely amazing and astonishing that a person can decide this. How has your career in law, or rather your decision to do law, been instrumental in giving you this much confidence? Yes, of course, you have to do law degree to practice, but still confidence comes from many other sources as well. How have you done that for yourself?
I think mainly, especially in the legal field, your first mentor matters a lot. If you get a good mentor in the beginning, because invariably you become like them. When you start practicing, you pick up the traits of your first mentor, you have your temperament becomes like them, your ethics, everything you copy from them, basically. Because that's your starting point. Unless your father is a lawyer, you have a family of lawyers, then that's different. But if you're a first generation lawyer, your mentor is everything for you in the beginning. So I was lucky enough to get a very good mentor in India as well, in Patiala. And then I was very lucky to have a mentor here in Canada who treated me like a son. He was the managing partner of the firm. They have 12 offices in Ontario. It's a very big criminal law firm. So I used to be with him all the time. Before COVID, we used to go to all courts in Ontario in person every day. So we used to devise a route in such a way. If I give you an example, an Indian example, you're practicing in Patiala and you have a few court appearances on Monday, then we will devise our route in such a way that we will do Patiala, we will do Roped, we will do Ludhiana, and we can go to Hoshiarpur next. So in that way, one day we are going in the other direction towards Delhi, one day we're going the other direction. So we used to cover all of Ontario in 1 week before COVID. But after COVID, everything started happening virtually. Now we do court appearances virtually. We're doing this interview virtually. Everything is virtual now, and which is convenient for us as well, because today also I have a court date in Brampton and I have a court date in a city which is 100 kilometers away. I have a court date in a city which is 200 kilometers away in the other direction. So just because of these virtual appearances and Zoom and everything, I would say it's better for the justice system because we're able to defend clients. Access to justice is readily available now, and it is less expensive for clients as well because traveling costs and everything used to add up. So I would say getting a good mentor is crucial. I think he trained me in a way that after about 2 years of working with him, I was confident enough that I can start my own practice and I can do criminal law.
Thank you so much for giving your mentors that much credit. It's absolutely important to respect them and their input to your life. That being said, as you were discussing, how did you transition from India to Canada? Is there any checklist that you could share with us and our learners? How did you do it in stepwise manner, if that's possible, so that they can also understand how has the transition happened? I know it must have been very, very difficult also, but how you have made this easy for yourself and how they can learn from this particular transition. Is there a checklist or is there any other way to move forward?
I would say there is only one way and it is not easy. I mean, legal field is already competitive. Whether it's India, it's Canada, US or England, wherever, legal field is a competitive field. And if you're changing countries, you've done law from another country and you're going to practice in another country, you have to learn their system, learn law, learn the procedure, learn everything that is there to learn. And people are new, they won't give you a chance very easily because you're not a lawyer who's done law from their country. You are a foreign trained lawyer. So initially it is not easy. You have to be mentally tough. I would say it was easier because of support of my parents. I moved to Canada. I'm the only son. They were very supportive of my move to Canada. And initially, so I would just say anybody who comes to Canada, I would talk about Canada because I'm here. I can't say about other countries. Don't go astray. Don't go into other areas. Stick to the legal field. People start driving, for example, trucks, taxis, works in restaurant. Anybody who is not able to make ends meet, that's different scenario for them. But if you can afford, stick to the legal field, clear your exams as soon as possible, and then try to find a good mentor and find a good job. Getting the first job in the legal area, in the legal field, is, I would say, one of the toughest things. Once you get your first job in Canada, then you start building experience, you start learning things, you get the required skills that you need for your second job or to further your career in law. So I would say getting the first job is crucial, and getting it as soon as possible is even more crucial. Because if you don't get a first job in time, few months pass, it is very difficult to survive in Canada without a job or without a proper job. So that is why people tend to go to other areas to just survive, which is okay given everybody's circumstances. But if you can, stick to the legal field, clear your exams, get your first job. And it is also important to get a job where the mentor is good, because the first job is not about money, it is all about learning. So if you can get a job, get in that door, work for 6 months, learn something out of it, then getting a second job would be very easy for you. People start expecting money in the beginning, that if the minimum wage is this, I should be getting this. But that's, I would say, especially in the legal field, that's not how it works. Not everybody wants to pay, not everybody wants to pay you well. So if you are very lucky if you find an employer who's paying you well or who's treating you well. But I would say to get a first job, doing volunteer work is the best way and quickest way to get your job. Don't worry about money. If you work for them for 1 or 2 months, they like you, they like your skills, they like the hard work you put in, and your mentor is good, they will definitely start paying you. Nobody wants to have a person who's a hardworking person, and nobody wants to have them work for free. So once you show them that you are really worth something, money will follow.
What a great piece of advice. Of course, it's a very tough world for legal field practitioners. As a criminal defense lawyer, what has been one of the most or some of the most challenging cases that you may have handled, if it is possible for you to share any particular case or the outcome of that particular case which has actually significantly influenced your approach towards criminal law?
I have handled a variety of cases, but difficulty I think is in the client. Law is the same. If there is a case which pertains to an area of criminal law which I'm not very familiar with, I can read up. I have books. There are so many resources, judgments, everything. You can learn those things. I think it depends on the client. Sometimes clients are difficult. For example, now primarily most of my clients are immigrants. They come from South Asian backgrounds, Indians, Pakistanis, Afghanis, Iranians, Middle Eastern people, Southwest Asian people, Southeast Asian people, Filipinos, all of those. So mostly immigrants plus local people. So majority of my practice comprises of immigrants. Immigrants come from countries where there is corruption, you can manage things in your own way. So they come with this expectation to Canada that if they get charged with a criminal offense, they will hire a lawyer and lawyer will do some magic and the lawyer can get them out of it. In some cases, it's possible, some cases, it's not possible. And the main difference between Indian and Canadian legal systems, especially in criminal law, is we do plea bargaining a lot. In India, there's provision in CRPC for plea bargaining, but it's not done very often. In Canada, most cases resolve by getting a plea bargain. I would say 20-25% cases go to trial. So in Canada, if the evidence is against you, the Crown, we call prosecutors Crown attorneys here because Canada is a constitutional democracy. So the Crown attorneys have enough evidence against you. They think they will be able to prove the case against you. Then there is no other way out. You cannot bribe the Crown attorney, you cannot bribe the judges, cannot bribe the police person. But I think people come with an expectation that our lawyer will manage everything. They will just get us out of everything unscratched. So I think managing people's expectations, I have found, is most difficult, because if you tell your client in the beginning just to get retained that, okay, your case is very easy, I will do this and this, I will do wonders in your case, then you've created such expectations that once you also know that those are not true. Because when the case ends, your client is bound to be dissatisfied with you. They are bound to be unhappy with you because you gave them expectations which are not real. So I would say managing clients' expectations, it's not true for immigrants only, it's true for everyone. But I've seen a tendency of immigrants who think like this, they're more in number. So I would say that is the most difficult task. If you manage your clients' expectations appropriately, I think there's nothing to worry about. And now there comes this issue of credibility as well. As a new lawyer, if I start telling my clients, okay, these are the pros, these are the cons, this can be done, this cannot be done, they will most probably go to another lawyer who gives them better expectations or who promises better things. So in the beginning, it is very difficult to manage expectations and on the same hand, get yourself retained. But as your practice grows older, you get credibility, people start trusting you, they believe what you say, and they trust you. So now it is easier for me at this stage. Whatever I tell my clients, they trust me, they believe me. But in the beginning, it was very difficult. When you tell clients that this cannot be done, they will go to another person who promises better things. So now you have to promise also, and you have to execute your plan and get what you promised. So that's the difficult part that I've found.
So promising something and then obviously delivering upon it is the major challenge that you have faced till now. So, as you were mentioning during your answer about the difference between the way we practice law in India and the way you practice law in Canada, you are a dual licensed lawyer. With your experiences in both of the countries, how have you seen the difference between the legal system and the kind of function it has in each of the country? Is there any particular reason for you to choose, especially criminal law practice? And also, what are the particular differences in between these two jurisdictions? As you mentioned that Canada is a constitutional law country.
I think I chose criminal law by chance because in India I was practicing civil litigation. When I came to Canada, I got my first job in a criminal law firm. I learned criminal law. I got experience. I developed the skill set for a criminal defense lawyer. That is why I got into criminal law. I wouldn't say it was planned, it was just by chance. But there are differences also in Indian and Canadian legal systems. There are similarities as well. I would say in India, we have a very good legal system, as in Canada. But I think the difference is in the implementation. Police has all the powers, but police cannot implement their powers, execute their powers due to various reasons. Similarly, when the case goes to the court, the prosecutors, judges have lots of powers, but the implementation, especially the delay, justice delayed is always justice denied. So I would say the main problem in Indian courts is the delay. In Canada, there's a Supreme Court judgment that you have to finish a criminal case in 18 months. If it's not finished in 18 months and the delay is unreasonable, the court will withdraw your charges. They will throw the case out of the court and your charges will be stayed or withdrawn. So this is how serious they are with regards to timelines. A criminal case gets finished in 1.5 years to 2 years. That's maximum. On an average, a criminal case gets finished, I would say 6, 7 months, 8 months. So when you get justice in time, justice seems to have been done. But when you don't get justice for years, even if justice gets done in the end, I don't think it's of any use to the person who's been fighting for justice for so many years. Second thing is, I found a lot of difference in sentencing, in how people are sentenced. For example, you are found guilty of any offense, or you plead guilty to something, and then a sentencing hearing is scheduled. Before the sentencing hearing, we provide all the information about our client's background to the judge, including any counseling that they've done, any background reference letters, any immigration consequences they may have, a lot of different things depending on the charges and the situation. And when the sentencing hearing takes place, the prosecutor, the crown attorney, they tell the judge what sentence they're asking for and the reasons for the sentence. Then it's our turn, we make our submissions. And when the judge sentences the person, they talk to the person, they tell them that we are imposing this sentence on you. These were the aggravating factors that I considered, these were the mitigating factors that I considered, and this is the reason that I'm imposing this sentence on you, and this is what you have to do. They take their time, they take half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours to explain everything to the person so that that person knows why this sentence was imposed on me, what were the things that were against me, what were the things that were in my support. And the result is that the person is usually satisfied with the result, with their sentence, and they have faith in the criminal justice system. They don't think that the sentence is arbitrary, or they don't think that the judge was biased, or they just imposed a sentence which was not appropriate in the circumstances. So, this process, taking time to explain things to the person, I think has a great impact on that person, and that person usually doesn't come before the court again. They usually done, because the main sentencing principle in Canada usually is rehabilitation. You have to give a sentence in a way so that the sentences should not be too harsh, that the person goes to jail and becomes a criminal in jail. Otherwise, he's not a criminal. And the sentence should not be too lenient, that the person thinks, okay, I can get away with everything. So the sentence should be balanced enough to take care of all the sentencing principles. So I would say sentencing in Canada is very thorough and is very important, and everybody gives it importance.
Amazing. You have also mentioned about your passion of spreading awareness related to law, especially not only criminal law, but obviously about these kind of differences as well. What kind of advice would you like to give to the young and aspiring lawyers who are actually dreaming to become international practitioners like you? And how can they work towards achieving this kind of goal, keeping in mind that all the jurisdictions have different ways in, as you said, dealing with the criminal justice system itself. So let's keep that the central point and understand how international law works in different jurisdictions and how should they approach it.
See, I think the way to success in legal profession is the same in every country. It doesn't matter you're in Canada, India, US, wherever. Initially, you have to focus on learning. Don't focus on money. Focus on developing your skill set for the initial 4 or 5 years, or less or more, depending on your circumstances. Money will follow after that. If you start focusing on money, focusing on glamour, focusing on other things in the beginning, your practice may not go in the direction that you wanted to go to. But if you focus on learning, getting a good mentor, I think nothing beats it. Nothing beats hard work. There is no shortcut to anything. You have to be uncomfortable. You have to go out of your comfort zone. If you don't become uncomfortable, if you don't take risks, smaller risk or big, you don't have to take a very big risk initially. It's all about smaller risks that you take on a daily basis. Taking up a case which you don't know much about, then researching and finding out everything about it, going to court, speaking in a court which is packed with lawyers, people on Zoom, judges listening to you, your client is listening to you, the other party is listening to you. Sometimes you become weak in your legs, sometimes you start shaking, you are very nervous, but you cannot show that to the judge, you cannot show that to the crown, you cannot show that to other lawyers, your client, anybody else. So I think hard work, research, preparation is the only way to get success in legal profession. Without preparation or hard work, if you don't know your file, you'll make a laughing stock of yourself in court. I would just say that.
So anywhere it's almost a similar kind of practice. Prepare yourself well and present yourself well. So when you started Jaslegals, which now operates across 5 office locations in Greater Toronto area itself, can you tell us more about your vision for the firm and how you effectively manage the operations and maintain a consistent workflow across these multiple locations?
Yeah, so first of all, most things happen virtually. That helps because we're able to do everything virtually, sitting in one place. Because Ontario, I think it's larger than Punjab, Haryana, and Rajasthan combined, or even larger. So it is impossible to go everywhere physically. So I have 5 different offices in different locations in the Greater Toronto area. My main office is in Mississauga. I am based in Mississauga, but I go to my other offices by appointment. If somebody wants to meet me in Waterloo, Toronto, Scarborough, Hamilton, I go there by appointment. Now I have a team working for me. I have my office managers, legal assistants working for me. My wife is a big support. She's been working with me since day one. She handles the firm's marketing and social media aspect of the firm and every kind of marketing. She does everything. She's made the logo, she's made the website, she's made our flyers, everything that she does. I don't know anything about those things. So without her, that side would have been possible. And yes, we have 5 locations, and usually we do things virtually. But if the client insists that I meet them in person in a different city, then I go wherever they need me to come. But yes, we have a system, we have employees working for us, we have streamlined everything. And recently I posted a ad for a lawyer. I wanted to hire a lawyer. I finalized somebody. Our team is growing, and my vision is for the firm to practice criminal law across Canada, to open up offices in different provinces of Canada, and just focus on criminal law and just focus on imparting knowledge about criminal law. Because like I told you, mostly my clients are immigrants, and immigrants do not know about criminal law. Everybody in Canada knows about real estate law or immigration law because they've been through that process. But criminal law impacts them on a daily basis, and the consequences of getting into trouble with criminal law are deportation, jail term, getting a criminal record, which are very serious. You lose your job, lose your family, lose the country. So I thought when I started that it's very important for people to know about criminal law so that they don't get into trouble with criminal law unintentionally. So that is my goal, and I'm very active on social media. I make videos in English and Punjabi, which is my mother tongue, so that people understand what is criminal law and how to stay out of trouble with criminal law.
Amazing, and lovely to hear about your wife who does all the marketing work for you. It's amazing. We would love to understand how do you balance between your personal and professional commitments as both of you are working professionals, and also the kind of professional demands that you have because of the 5 locations. How soon do you see yourself being spread all over the Canada?
I don't know. I would say, first of all, I try to balance my personal and professional life. Spending time with my family is very important to me. We have a dog as well. We don't have a child, but we have a dog, and which is like our child. So I make sure that I'm home from office about 4 o'clock, which is my dog's dog park time. He's waiting for me to take him. Then we go spend about 2 hours together, my wife and our dog. We go on hikes, we go to the dog park. I'm usually not available between 4 to 6. So my assistants or my associates, they answer my phone calls and everything. Then I resume work because I get phone calls a lot. I get phone calls 24/7. People keep getting arrested. People have troubles late at night. So I'm always on the phone. So I resume my work after that, but I make it a point to come home in time so that we are able to spend our evenings together. And my wife and I have no issues spending time together because we are always together. We go to the office together. We are at home together in the evening. We try to cook and stay together. Like staying in. We don't like going out that much because of your dog also, and because it's just what we prefer. So I think balancing is no problem. And
Was
I
a
stress on it a
beautiful.
lot because my parents, my mother especially, used to emphasize the importance of balancing different things in life. She used to say, don't do anything in extreme, balance everything. If you balance everything, that's better in the long run.
Given this beautiful thought by your mother, I would like to ask you about the kind of issues that are coming up with not only lawyers, with other professions also related to mental health. What are your views about that as you are so much keen on spreading awareness about criminal law in immigrants? I'm pretty sure that you must have seen mental health issues as well in the immigrants as well as the lawyers. So, how do you see that one can actually go ahead and try and help these kind of issues or address these issues at least, because these have become very, very evident right after COVID as well.
Absolutely. I would say legal profession is a tough profession, and especially criminal law, because when a person gets charged with a criminal offense, they come to you with their problem, they are in trouble, they are panicking. If you are dedicated in your practice, over time, you start thinking that your client's problems are your problems. You treat their problems as your own because they tell you your problems, they tell you everything about their life, you know everything about their life, their challenges, if they have any money problems, if they have any family problems, partner problems, anything else. So eventually, when people are telling you their problems 24/7, you start thinking that their problems are your problems and you start taking the stress of their problems. It's happened to me as well. I used to get stressed a lot. I used to get anxiety sometimes in the mornings when I wake up. But I identified this and I told myself that I will not let troubles of my clients take the better of me. It is okay till a point to understand their problems, but to take on their problems as your own is, I would say, a negative thing, which I've learned very recently. So I would say at the end, you're just doing your job. You're a professional. You're being paid to do your job. Do your job properly. If you're not doing your job properly, sometimes then you get stressed because you're not putting in the work in the file that the file demands. Sometimes you are not looking after your client's demand, their expectations. But if you are doing your job properly, I think you should not be stressed about the outcome because you are not the judge, you are not God, you are not anybody else. You are just an advocate for your client. If you advocate for your client to the best of your ability, I think there's nothing to worry about. Result doesn't matter. Even if the result is not what you expected, I think the client will be happy with you because you put in a lot of hard work and it will show to the client. So I think balancing your life and separating your professional problems or professional demands from your personal life is very important, especially in criminal law. I would say this kind of stress real estate lawyers do not experience, immigration lawyers do not experience, or may not experience to the level, because my client, if I don't do a good job, that person can be in jail for years. That person will get a criminal record. That person will lose his job. And if that person is not a Canadian citizen, they will also be deported. Sometimes they have their family, their kids here. And if the husband gets deported or the wife gets deported, it can break up their family. So I think it takes time to learn all those things. It doesn't come on day one, but as you grow, as you get more experience, you tend to learn how to separate these things.
Amazing. Thank you once again for agreeing to be here at Superlawyer YouTube channel. And thank you for being so truthful about the mental health, about the criminal law practice, and the way you have grown yourself in forming your firm. And it's an immense pleasure to interview you today. Thank you so much, Just, for
Thank you
being
very
here.
much. Thank
It's
you.
an amazing
Thank you.
experience.
Thank you very much for having me. I hope people who are listening to this interview, this video, will learn at least one thing from this interview. And if somebody learns even one thing about the legal profession, or they have one takeaway from this interview, I would consider that this was successful.